Okay, so since it's 11:10, we can get started. I just want to say thanks for joining today. I'm Zoe from the marketing team at rezStream, and I'm just going to be moderating the call. So the session will be recorded, and you can review it after the event. I also plan to hold questions until the end, just to make sure we make the most of our time together. But feel free to submit those questions to the Q&A feature at any time during the presentation. So then now I like to introduce our speaker for today. So we have Colton Bradshaw from CartStack, and he'll be sharing how properties are recovering abandoned bookings and driving more direct revenue. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Colton.
All right. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're calling this from lookers to bookers, proven tactics to recover direct booking revenue. We all have seen the issue of people coming to our direct booking websites and showing interest in some way. Maybe they initiate a booking, maybe they just click on a property landing page or accommodations page, researching rooms. What CourtStack does is help you make sure that all of that traffic that you're sending to your website, all of those top of funnel marketing activities you're doing to try to push people towards direct versus an OTA, all of those things that you're doing, we help you get more revenue out of those activities. Colton, I'm the Director of Marketing Partnerships here at CardStack. I manage what we have managed service that we do on behalf of customers to kind of optimize their campaigns over time, running split tests, cadence tests, messaging, all types of things to get things converting better. And so through working with so many of our customers in the capacity, I've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't in the world of abandoned booking recovery. And so those are some of the things we're going to go through today. A little bit about CartStack. Like I mentioned, we're an advanced direct booking recovery software for hotels, resorts, short-term rentals. If you have people coming to your website and showing interest in some way, form, or fashion, CartStack deploys campaigns that both try to get people to let us know who they are. We have a real-time lead capture tool that kind of listens throughout your whole website to make sure that if somebody enters an email anywhere on your site, we know we can capture that and we know who they are, so that if they show interest in some way, some level of purchase intent, like I mentioned, either by hitting maybe an accommodations page for that kind of high top of funnel, middle of funnel customer, or say they've abandoned or they've actually initiated an abandoned booking. Our goal is to get those people back to complete that booking with you direct, driving direct revenue and keeping those bookings out of the OTAs and, more importantly, away from your competitors. So let's chat about the problem for a second. So a significant percentage of direct bookings are started but never completed. Guests browse, they check availability, they enter details, and they leave before confirming that purchase, the purchasing decision to book with a hotel. So people are checking with family and friends, they're checking with prices, they're checking your competitors, they're doing their research. And so a lot of times people come to the website and bounce and they will never book with us. Other times they're coming to your website showing interest, but they're in that phase of the buyer journey that they're actually considering staying with you. So when they bounce, that presents a pretty big problem. And the issue is that most of that revenue is fully lost with no follow-ups. Hotels don't always have a structured way to re-engage guests who abandon the booking process. Said that in hospitality, it takes somewhere between 12 and 18 touch points before somebody will decide to purchase with you. And those touch points are scattered all along the customer journey, that from the minute they hear about you to when they see you on an OTA website, to when they come to you to book directly, when they interact with your site. These are all touch points that are getting customers closer and closer to becoming, or visitors closer and closer to becoming customers. And if they abandon, if we're not following up with them, that revenue is often lost forever. And another big part of the problem is just that relying on OTAs increases dependency and margin loss. Well, without recovering direct bookings, properties miss higher profit revenue opportunities. If they're not going to your OTA, to an OTA, they're often going to a competitor. So staying top of mind with these customers is really important as they're answering those questions and making those decisions that help them determine if booking that property or booking that stay with you is the right move. So the average direct booking website converts slightly under 2% of visitors to customers, which means 98% of the people that come to your site are going to abandon and never come back. And then to take that a little bit further, of the people who do initiate a booking, only around 20 to 25% of them will actually complete that booking, which means that in the hospitality industry, we've got somewhere between a 75 to 80% booking abandonment rate or cart abandonment rate. So presents a big problem. But if you've got the right tools in place to re-engage and convert recover those customers, then it also presents a really big opportunity. So how does CartStack help? So first, we're automatically going to recapture and re-engage guests who abandon the booking process. We send timely, personalized messages to bring them back, complete their reservation. And that's kind of the simplified version of it. But when we send reminders, our outreach feels like your brand. It doesn't feel like a third party. We like to send our messaging with kind of a support based angle rather than saying, hey, come back and get this booking right now. Hurry, hurry, hurry. We reach out and say, hey, did something happen? Did something go wrong? Can we help? Here's some information to get in touch. And here is a link. Come back and complete that booking. People like to feel like they're being looked out for rather than being sold to or marketed to. So we like to make sure our outreach kind of complements your customer service efforts, feels like from the recipient standpoint, feels like they're being looked out for and not sold to. Third piece here is we help you recover incremental revenue without adding any work to your team. Everything that we do is fully automated, performance driven, and designed to increase high margin direct bookings, right? So let's get into how does it work here for a second. So first of all, we integrate directly with rezStream. Integration is quick and seamless. We integrate directly with your website. All we need to do is integrate with your websites, tie into those other tools, and make sure that we are sending these reminders in a way that complements your other outreach. The rezStream team is going to help design your emails and aligns the messaging with your brand. All of the emails they're going to put together are proven. We're going to personalize them. And the goal is really like we've been mentioning, just to bring them back and complete that purchase. Once you get launched, it really just kind of runs in the background. We like to call ourselves kind of the set it and forget it tool. Once it's running and it's working, it just works. And so it's really just automated in the background and is just constantly over time as people are coming and showing interest and abandoning, we are constantly automatically re-engaging them to bring them back to the website and get that booking recovered. So let's talk about for a second the tools that we use in CartStack to do this. And then after this, we will actually jump into the platform and I'll show you a live example of a rezStream customer doing this. Tools at your disposal, the kind of the core revenue driver for all of our customers is going to be this abandoned booking recovery. We have 3 channels that we can send reminders through: emails, SMS, and web push. The abandoned booking recovery, these are, if you're in the e-commerce space, this is cart abandonment. These are going to be people that showed what we think is the highest level of purchase intent that somebody on your direct booking website can give you. They initiate a booking and they self-identify at some point during their visit. So those are going to be really high intent leads that they're getting close to making that decision. So we just want to stay top of mind and give them helpful reminders that make it easy for them to come back and book that. Those are going to be bottom of funnel visitors. Browse abandonment reaches a little bit higher up into the funnel to retarget kind of those warmer intent visitors. We like to call them window shoppers, right? They're still kind of midway through the purchasing journey and they're still answering some of those early journey questions about like where they want to stay, who they want to stay with, what activities they want to be around them when they make that stay. And they're still kind of piecing together that puzzle. And so browse abandonment recovery, while it does say recovery here, the goal of these campaigns is actually a little bit more re-engagement than it is recovery. We don't know exactly what these customers were interested in when they visited the site, but we know that they are interested to some extent. And if we know who they are, we can send them re-engagement style messaging that takes a little bit softer approach. If somebody hasn't shown us exactly what dates they want to stay and what room they're looking at, we don't know exactly what they're interested in. So we keep the messaging here a little bit softer so that, rather than where a booking abandonment email might say, hey, come back with this booking, a browse abandonment email might say, hey, here are some things that you might enjoy about our hotel, right? Just ways to get them through more and more of those touch points. BEDS stands for Booking Engine Data Sync. Essentially what this means is with our software, you have the ability to, as people are abandoning the website, we are pulling down and syncing our data with that booking on the website so that if somebody abandons, we can send them an email that says, hey, here's the room you were looking at. Here are the dates you were looking at, the property. We can really personalize those emails to give them a reminder of exactly what they were interested in. And that all happens with our BEDS engine here. We also have this retain on-site toolkit. We call it retain because the goal of these campaigns is to deliver on-site messaging that keeps people engaged or gets them to convert without abandoning. So send my stay offers and nudges are all examples of this. And we'll kind of walk through what this looks like here in a minute. But these are just on-site messaging tools that again, are trying to get us more and more of those touch points to help that customer feel better about making that decision to stay with us. Real-time leads is a cool little tool. If you want to just keep your finger on the pulse of any high-value abandonment activity, we can set a threshold and say, okay, if anybody abandons a booking worth over $1,000, send this to my front desk agent or send this to a salesperson on my team, so that that person can reach out and try to get that lead converted with a little bit more of a personal touch. A lot of good use cases for these. We'll go through this in a second. And then we have some advanced reporting that really makes it easy to get in and figure out what's working, what's not, push more traffic towards higher converting versions of your messaging. So let's see this all in action. I want to pull up an actual rezStream account and show you what this looks like. Just so you guys know, this dashboard image right here, we are in the process of launching a brand new version of this application. It should be going live here in a couple weeks. And so the application I'm about to get into will look a little bit different than this here in a few weeks. This is what it will look like. But if you ever were to log into CartStack, I just didn't want you to be confused. So let's jump into the app here and take a look. All right. So we've got MB Surfside account here. Now, this is a surf hotel. So we're in the down season. The traffic here looks a little bit low just because this is the slow season for this hotel, but I'm going to pull up the date picker right here. We're going to go back to their busy season so that we can see kind of what a month looks like during when the actual traffic is coming in high volume. So let's go July. Let's just check out July of last year. All right. That looks a little bit better. I'm going to resize the screen there so we get that. Okay. So this is essentially during the month of July, we helped MB Surfside recover almost 12 grand in abandoned booking revenue. And this came from a couple of different campaigns down here. We'll get into that. So right here, the booking recovery emails, this is going to be cart abandonment, booking abandonment. This is going to be those people who initiated booking and then abandoned. So let's explain a little bit about what you're looking at here. These abandons right here. So CartStack is an engagement first platform, but really we just want to send reminders right now to people who want us to know who they are. Right. And so these 62 abandons right here, these are engaged visitors. These people added their email address before they abandoned, which we see about 40 to 60% of the people who hit that booking page do either by just typing their email address or auto-filling their information in the form. The minute that information is there on the form, we've got their email address. We know who they are. The minute we know who they are, we go pull down all of their booking details so that we can send them personalized reminders that include what they were interested in and make it easy to get back into the flow and complete that booking. And so these 62 abandons here, these are people who let us know who they are. These are engaged visitors. And out of those 62 abandons, we help them recover 11 bookings at a 17% conversion rate. This conversion rate is right in line with where we'd like to see it for our hotel customers. They normally land in that 16 to 18% range. And this is what got us this first 10 grand in recovered revenue. So the other piece of the engagement first mindset or approach that we take is this attributed revenue right here. So if we send somebody an email, so somebody comes to the website, they self-identify and they abandon. If we send them an email and they do not engage with that email, but then they come back and purchase, none of that revenue is counted right here because we did not see them engage first on the website and then again with our reminders. We need to see both of those points of engagement. More importantly, on the attribution side is seeing them engage with our reminders. Just on a personal note, I know that I've received emails that I didn't necessarily need to engage with to do what the email was trying to get me to do. So for that reason, we're likely underreporting here a little bit. There's probably a little bit more revenue that we help them recover from people who received the email, didn't need to open or click it, but seeing that reminder in their inbox was enough, so they came back to the website and booked. This revenue right here is only from people who first self-identified on the website and then came back and then engaged with one of our reminders before they came back and booked. And so all of this revenue, you can be sure, is actually revenue. We get some really good engagement rates here, typically in the 55 to 65% range on open rates. Click-through rates are normally over 10%. Unsub rates, we like to see them below 2%. So they're in line with where we want to see them here. And so this is kind of what you can expect to see from a booking recovery campaign. Now, browse recovery, we just launched browse recovery for MB Surfside not long ago. So there's not data populating here for the month of July last year because this was not active, but I'm still going to explain kind of what this is. Booking abandonment, bottom of funnel, people initiate a booking and abandon. We get them back. Browse abandonment, these are people who we know who they are from a previous interaction. So a previous cart abandonment purchase, then maybe they filled out a live chat or an exit intent pop-up or a contact form. If we know who somebody is from a previous visit and they show some level of purchase intent by clicking on, maybe they're researching certain room types or certain accommodations, or maybe they've, clicked far enough into the booking engine to show interest, but not so far that they would be technically considered an abandoned booking, we can send these people re-engagement style reminders to get them back to recover that booking. This Send My Stay widget down here, so you can see up here, we're almost at 12 grand, but the abandoned cart has really only got 10.5 of it. 1,200 of that came from this Send My Stay campaign right here. This is one of our on-site campaigns. We call the toolkit retain. Excuse me. If somebody is going to abandon their booking and our system does not know who they are yet, we give them the opportunity to send themselves their booking details via email. And so when somebody opts into that pop-up, we're giving them an alternative to abandonment, right? They don't always want to abandon their booking. They know they're in the research phase. And so we give them a way to save these booking details so that when the timing is right, they can come back and make that purchase. And so this Send My Stay campaign, you can see, drove 3 additional bookings for that month at a 10% conversion rate because we captured 30 emails over the month, 3 of them converted, and we got an extra $1,200 in revenue right here. And I'll jump into what this looks like here in a second. But from a recovery campaign standpoint, I want to jump into the booking abandonment campaigns and just show you what the sequences look like and kind of what we can do here to personalize these. Now we're seeing some zeros across the board because, again, we're in kind of in Surfside slower season. If this is giving us a snapshot of the last 30 days of revenue or of performance, we've got an A/B split testing module here so that we can get in and make sure that our subject lines are converting and our email content are converting at their highest capability. Then if I get in here to the actual email editor, I mentioned earlier, we really like to send our emails from kind of a support based angle. So rather than saying, come back and get your booking, we're saying, did something go wrong with your reservation, right? We're kind of taking the onus of that abandoned booking onto ourselves. Say, like, kind of posing it as like, hey, was it something we did? And so they get this first email that says, oops, did something go wrong with your booking? We've got some information about Martha's Vineyard Surfside Hotel. We've got a little coupon code here to encourage them to come back. But we've also got these little merge tags right here for arrival date and departure date. Is our ability to take that data that is there on the page when somebody abandons and inject it directly into the email so that the person can see exactly what arrival and departure date that they wanted. And then when they click this complete reservation button, we get them right back into the booking engine to reselect those dates in that room so that they can make that purchase more easily. Once email goes out, click over here to the send to the reports. We've got the campaigns report, the send queue, and the send archive is going to be a list of every email that's gone out. So if I check the send archive, we can see kind of how those data points populate. Okay, so this was the second or third email in the sequence, and this is how that data populates for the customers. So they can see exactly when they were looking at arriving, when they were going to depart. If they click this button, it takes them right back into the booking engine so that they can complete that booking. Browse abandonment works very similarly. Same kind of email setup. The trigger here, rather than waiting until somebody abandons a booking, we're just waiting for somebody to abandon what we call a product page. In this case, it would be like an accommodations page. You would let us know what that intent page looks like to you, and then we would set those on our end, and then we could send them these warmer re-engagement style emails. So cart and browse abandonment are just our 2 ways of tackling multiple parts of the conversion funnel to help you drive medium visitors to the bottom of funnel and bottom of funnel visitors to conversion. Now, if we want to talk top of funnel, that's where we get into some of these retain tools. Offers are going to be like exit intent offers. If somebody is about to abandon your site and you want to give them 10% complete their booking now, that would be a good exit intent offer. Conversion nudges are just kind of on-screen clickable value add messages. So if there is some sort of direct booking benefit that someone might not see without getting into the booking flow, that would be a good use case for a nudge, just to let them know, hey, book this room today and here's a 10% off coupon, or whatever ways you want to, or whatever messaging you want to include in these to help somebody get converted instead of abandoning would be a good use of a conversion nudge. Tab abandonment is another cool tool. If somebody's on your tab about to check out, they get distracted, overwhelmed, they open a new tab, we can change the title of your tab in the browser. It changes the favicon, basically tries to bring that lost attention back over to this tab before they abandon it completely. Send My Stay is probably the most common used by our hotel customers because it is both kind of an on-site retargeting tool, but it is also a recovery tool. So as I mentioned before, if I was progressing through MB Surfside's website and the CartStack system did not know who I was, but I had shown some level of purchase intent by initiating a booking. Maybe I selected dates and I'm about to select a room. As my mouse scrolls towards the edge of the page, our system pops this and says, "Hey, wait, can we email you these booking details? If you're not ready to book, no problem. We can send these booking details to your inbox so that you can pick up where you left off when you're ready," right? So it offers them an alternative to abandoning your website. So many people know that they're in the research phase. They're not ready to book. And this just gives them an easy way to save those booking details. When somebody opts in, though, then we can drop them into a reminder campaign that gets them to come back and submit that. So this first email goes out and does exactly what we said we were going to do. Hey, here's your booking details. And then these reminders drift out over the course of the next, 5, 8, 9 days, just trying to help us stay top of mind and trying to get that customer recovered before they decide to go with a competitor or through an OTA. And so if I get over here into the reports, I kind of want to show you the relationship between all of these campaigns when it relates to results. So this campaigns report here is going to be probably the most powerful report we have, allowing you to check conversion for each individual campaign and each individual email in that campaign to determine what is working, what's not, and really get granular with your reporting. But so if we take a look, I'm going to pull up July of last year again, so we can take a look at what this looks like when it's all populated. So for July of last year in booking abandonment, as I mentioned before, we helped them recover $10,590 in revenue. Now, if I go down here to send my stay for that same period, we can see that an extra $1,200 in revenue, 1,224 in revenue came from people who opted in to send my stay and then engaged with our reminders and came back and booked. What's interesting about this campaign is this assisted revenue number right here. Assisted revenue from Send My Stay means that somebody opted in to Send My Stay. They got our emails. They weren't ready to book yet. They came back to the website. And this time they abandoned a booking, a different booking. They picked some different dates. They showed, our system already knows who they are from Send My Stay, but they came back to poke around again and then left. Well, Send My Stay gets the assist right here on about $1,500 of revenue that was actually recovered here from booking abandonment. So in here in booking abandonment, 1,200 was recovered from Send My Stay directly. And so $1,500, about $1,500 of this number right here was because we identified more people through Send My Stay. So these campaigns all kind of work together to drive top of funnel interest down to middle of funnel interest down to the bottom, and bottom of funnel interest. And we've got some, rules built in to make sure that people aren't in two campaigns at once. We make sure that, if somebody's in the browse campaign, they come back and abandon a cart, they're pulled out of browse into abandoned cart. If somebody enters a Send My Stay, if they're in another campaign, they're pulled into Send My Stay. All these campaigns interact with each other and talk to each other to make sure that we're not, over emailing somebody and make sure that, we're engaging people in the channel that they're most likely to convert. The settings tab here and the integrations tab here, these aren't necessarily pages that you'll have to interact with much, but if you ever had an update to your website or anything was going to change, then you would just come to one of these pages to let our team know to go double check the integration and make sure that if you do something to the website, it doesn't break our integration. I'll jump in here for 1 second because I mentioned these before, these real-time notifications. Oh, we're not using them here. So real-time notifications are just, again, kind of a lead gen tool for any salesperson on your team. Our system is going to try its hardest to recover lost sales, but there's always going to be those higher value bookings that, the higher value the booking, the more frequently that they convert over a phone call versus doing it themselves on a website. So if we identify an abandoned booking worth over whatever amount is important to you, maybe it's $500, maybe it's $1,000. Not only are we going to try to recover that customer automatically, we can send that over to someone on your team as a lead so that they come back and, they have the ability to reach out and get that person to come back and make that purchase. That is the high level of how CartStack works. So I'm going to jump back over to the presentation here and we'll just want to chat about kind of how to get going. So the first step is going to be to connect with your rezStream representative. They can go over setup process and discuss any add-on pricing for the service. and get you all set up. The team gets you integrated, designs your emails, and kind of manages your campaigns. And then they give you a 30-day trial to try it out. So it's risk free. If at the end of 30 days you don't like it, you don't have to use it. If you do, then cool. We'd love to have you as a customer. I know that we're coming up on time here, so I just wanted to see, do we have time for questions, Zoe, or should we keep it? Yeah, I mean, we can, if anybody has a question, feel free to drop it in the chat, or this is my email address, colton@cartstack.com. Yeah, feel free to get in touch. I'd love to answer any questions for you. The rezStream team can also help answer any questions that, if you'd like to reach out to them, but also happy to help with, clearing up anything. I don't know that we have too many questions in the box. Do
I
we?
do have one
Okay, cool.
here. They asked, out of all the tools that you talked about, which one do you recommend us using first?
We get everybody set up with cart abandonment from the start. That's going to be kind of the thing that unlocks the rest of the tool set. Some of these tools take some time to ramp up, but cart abandonment does not. The minute we get integrated and the minute we get launched, there are always going to be people on your site showing interest in abandoning, giving us that ability to follow up with them quickly and get them recovered. So we get everybody launched with abandoned cart first. After that, it kind of unlocks the rest of the tool set. From there, we can launch browse abandonment, any on-site tools, any other channels that you want to try, real-time notifications, any of those things all just kind of become available once we get your cart campaigns live or your booking abandonment campaigns live. We just want to get that live because that's going to be the campaign that starts generating revenue for you immediately.
Okay. And then we do have one more, but this question is, do discounts actually improve conversions? Do you usually recommend us putting a discount in the emails?
Yeah, good question. And really, the reason we have split testing built in is to help you determine if a discount is going to actually affect your conversion. Typically, I recommend not including a discount until your second or third reminder in the sequence. That first reminder is always going to help scrape off the lowest hanging fruit, right? The people that are almost close to making that decision. And I don't really typically recommend offering a discount in the first email because a lot of times you'll be giving a discount to people who would have paid full price anyways. But with your second and third reminders in the sequence, that's where using tactics like, urgency and scarcity and discounts and things like that really become a little bit more powerful. Because, if they didn't respond to your first message, some urgency in the second message might help. If they didn't respond to the urgency in the second message, a discount in the third message might help. And that's really why we have the split testing module built in to figure out what that perfect cadence is, what that perfect messaging is, and where it makes sense to add in or include a discount.
Okay, well, that was our last submitted question. So thanks for everyone joining today. I do know the customer panel begins at 11:55. So I'll send that link in the chat just so you guys can easily head over. Okay. Well, thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Colton.
Appreciate your time. Have a great conference.